Alright, this is a drone video of a very cool property in Fulton County, Arkansas. This is just under 17 acres. This is 16.75 acres. It's Tract 4 at the White Ranch project. We're at the south side of the property. That's the private driveway that goes back to the cleared site. And in a moment we'll go way up in the air, and I'm sure we'll do a full flyover, but we're actually starting here at the south side. So that's the driveway going in. Goes in, I don't know, maybe 150 feet, 200 feet. And then you've got a pretty decent little open area, large enough that you could pull in probably with a trailer or a camper, RV trailer or a camper, and kind of get pulled around and get situated. Now, it was cleared maybe a couple of years ago with a big mulcher on a skid steer. And so when it does that, it does take a while for the grass and the greenery to grow back again. But you can see that there is some greenery growing back. The interesting thing about this tract is there's a couple right there. It's got big, beautiful, mature pine trees. Just gorgeous, tall, straight pine trees, hundreds of them. So if you've been looking for a property, like many people that we've talked to over the years, if you're looking for a property to build a log cabin and you're interested in, of course, using the timber from your property, this might be a really, really good one for that. It's got all those, like I said, hundreds of mature pine trees, tall, straight. I mean, you could build a massive log cabin or home with just the timber on this property. So like any property, you can't cut the timber until the property's been paid for in full, because that standing timber is part of the collateral for the owner finance loan. But once the property's been paid for in full, in the meantime, that timber is really just getting bigger and bigger. So really nice property. We've had very, very few properties that have mature pine like that. So that's a beautiful thing about this Tract 4. So the white Tahoe, I think we mentioned before, it's parked, it's facing the gravel easement road, but it is parked on the private driveway. So the property fronts that gravel easement road for a little over 300 feet along its south side. Now we're looking east, so the property would be on the left. It's a gorgeous area. I hope we do a full flyover because this is a really pretty property. We love this one. And now we've oriented where we're looking basically north. And we're going to do our flyover here. So from the easement road, it rises up. We'll fly over the site. Rises up a little more, then it slopes downward. And you've actually got that creek that crosses over the property toward about the middle of the property. It crosses directly over the property. And then once you get past the creek, you have the electric line as well. So, I mean, you've got a lot going for this property. And I do believe in this drone video, we'll look at a spot where the creek crosses the electric line. It's about 100 feet east of the property. And the reason that we got it in the video was otherwise the property's so heavily wooded you can't see the creek from the air. But when the creek crosses over that cleared power line, you can actually see it. And so in order to be able to take advantage of that, we just flew the drone, like I said, about 100 feet east of the property. So the upper part of the screen is still the Tract 4, and then where the power line is, and we'll see that creek in a second. So that is the same creek that crosses right over the property. But again, this particular spot is about 100 feet east of the property. Very pretty little creek. I assume it's a spring-fed creek. You can see it's actually flowing there. So it should look pretty similar on the property itself, because we're only 100 feet from the property. But that's a good way to be able to see it from the air with the drone. Otherwise, with that big, thick, mature timber, you just would not see that creek from the air. very, very pretty. So the creek is a big bonus. The pine trees are a huge bonus. Having that power line on site is another huge bonus. Just everything's coming together on this property. Size-wise, it's a great size. I mean, over 16 acres. So you could build a home. You could obviously use this for hunting. That creek will be a draw for the wildlife, including the deer and the turkey, which is really cool. In addition to pine trees, you've probably noticed quite a bit of other types of timber out here. So the guys have found red oak, white oak, hickory trees, black walnut trees. They've found persimmon trees, which the deer love to eat those persimmons. Just many, many different types of timber out here. And I think we're getting a final look at the little creek area. Yeah, you can definitely see it is flowing. It's not just standing water. It does have movement there. That's good to see. Those are the power lines. So once we go up in the air, I'm sure we'll veer back to the west just a bit and be directly over the property. So once we zoom out here, and we'll get oriented probably to the north, I would think. Let's see here. Okay, right now we're actually facing south, so we're looking directly over the property. Can't see it in the distance, but the easement road is back in the distance. I thought we were looking south. Maybe it's north. Might have gotten turned around. That can certainly happen. On a different screen, I've got the topo map open showing the property. And from where the creek is, if you do keep going north, it stays fairly level for a while, and then it starts to rise up. Okay, so easement road on the right. Now we're looking east. So we are looking over the property, which starts on the easement road on the right, goes way off to the left. It's a long property. It's a rectangle, but it's not thin. Like we mentioned earlier, it's over 300 feet wide. So even if it wasn't wooded, that would be wide enough to give you privacy. But on a wooded property, I mean, you could put your building site just about anywhere and not be visible from the road or from the neighboring properties. Okay, so we've come back around. We really didn't check out the north part past the creek, but we got a decent look at the south part. You can see the white truck there. Now, of course, we're looking north. Easement road on the bottom of the screen. White truck is leaving the property or facing that direction, parked on the driveway. Just below us was the cleared site. And looks like we've got about 3-4 minutes left, so maybe we are going to do a flyover of the northern part as well. But as I look at this topo map off to the side here, it's really quite interesting because you cross that little creek and then the property rises up gradually and levels out on the north side. So you would definitely have the potential for a beautiful building site with quite a bit of level ground as well on the northern end of the property. And the way the power line crosses over diagonally, there are quite a few spots where you could build your home or cabin and be fairly close to that power line. The important thing in our minds, having dealt with power companies for decades, the important thing here is that you have the line physically on the property, and that's tough to beat. So you're not going to have any of your neighbors sign an easement to hook into that power line, unless you wanted to bring it from a neighboring property, for some reason, which I can't think of why you would want to do that. But in that case, maybe they'd have to sign an easement. But you do physically have the line itself on your property, including several poles, so that there's no neighbor that can deny you an easement and keep you from getting your power line. You already have it, which is definitely fantastic. It can save you months or years worth of hassle and many thousands of dollars just by already having that line on the property. It's a big, big bonus. kind of looking into the sun, and it looks like it's getting a little later in the day, so that's why some of those trees are not as vibrantly green as they might otherwise be. They're looking a little dark. We flew to the north side, then we turned back around. We're flying south. You can see the power line, obviously. And we're pretty much centered over the property, I would guess. As we zoom down to take a final look at that creek, that's again, we'll be looking just east of the property, and that's only so we can see that creek from the air. But that creek does cross directly over the property, so you've actually got the full creek for over 300 feet. Crossing over Tract 4 here. And we're getting toward the end now. Gorgeous property. I mean, this is pure Ozarks. This is northern Arkansas, Fulton County, Arkansas. Probably the closest city that people from out of state know would be West Plains, Missouri, which is, I believe, about 20 miles or so to the north. This property, as we mentioned, it's in Arkansas, but the closest city to the property in Arkansas would probably be Salem, Arkansas, which is the county seat for Fulton County. But Salem is quite small. West Plains, Missouri is quite a bit bigger than Salem, Arkansas. So InstantAcres.com is where you can go to check the availability. Owner financed land. We have good quality land. We've been doing this for a long time, and we'd love to talk to you about this property if it's still available. So just go to InstantAcres.com. You can click on the category for outcast land, which is where you'll find this, and this is within the White Ranch project. So, yep, check out the website, give us a call. We would love to talk to you. InstantAcres.com.